All right, welcome everybody to our Webinar to Win series here hosted by Griffin Hill. We're so excited to have you all on with us today. We have some amazing content lined up with you for you guys today. One of my good friends we have on the line with us from over at QZZR, Connor Childs, is here joining us today. So we've got some great content from him. He is the content and quiz magician over there at QZZR. He's an expert. I've known him for a couple of years now, and we were able just to catch up here a second ago before we got this webinar kicked off. Good guy, great content, amazing company that helps to drive leads that you can turn into revenue. So we're excited to have them on with us today. As always, as we get started here, we just want to remind you about SmartCon coming up. You're going to want to go and get your tickets. SmartCon is a ramped up day of content. You're going to get amazing content, and actually this year we're hoping to work in some really exciting pieces of how do we take the content that we're hearing, that we're getting here, how do we take all this theory and how do we put it to work. So you're going to want to go and make sure to get your tickets for SmartCon 2017. It's on September 28th this year. We're planning on having it over at the Utah Valley Convention Center. You can go get your tickets. You see it there on that slide. You can go get your tickets over at smartcon.griffinhill.com. So make sure to get that. But Connor, I know you're on with us, right?
I am. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Look, thank you so much for joining us today. You work for an amazing company. You said it's been 2.5 years now, is that right?
Yeah. So I started the company officially 2.5 years ago. And what's funny is prior to that point, I was at a marketing agency and they were a client of ours. And so really when they first started, we were kind of their marketing team. And so I feel like I've been there from the very beginning. But officially, I've been getting a paycheck from QZZR for 2.5 years.
That's awesome. Well, good series of companies you've worked for. It's been fun to get to know you as you've been with those companies. You've got some great content for us, teaching us about how to use quizzes as a form to generate leads and generate engagement as well. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I hope this is of value for you folks that are looking to increase the bottom line. And this is hopefully going to give you some ideas for some potential things you can do with your digital marketing, with your content strategy, and then just with your overall messaging that I think will really resonate with the people that you interact with online. And so really the way I've structured this as we go through these slides is I've set this up into 3 different segments of ways that you can continue the conversation based on how people have interacted on your site, and how you can leverage a quiz to really make that a powerful experience where you can get more personalized in your communication. And so, because I think that's such an important part of connecting with your audience and getting them to want to pull out their credit card and make a purchase, is you have your different ways of bringing them to your site, whether that be through your ads, whether that be for your SEO or social, organic social or paid social, and then so what happens next, right? So people come to your site and that you actually got them there, and how do you continue that conversation? Because it's very rare that someone within the first 2 seconds and that very first touch, they're ready to go. And so I've broken this up into 3 different methods that you can use with the 3 ways you can use a quiz to have a really powerful continued conversation with these folks. And as we can see on this slide, the first one is the email. And I'm really a big fan of email. This is a strategy that year after year it proves to be have the biggest return on investments of any of the digital marketing strategies you can employ. And so with the quiz, you can, and you can see over here on the right, I took a screenshot of a question from a particular quiz. And so this is a quiz that was made by a company called Sideshow Collectibles. They are a company that sells a lot of high-end figurines, statues, action figures, that kind of stuff, mostly in the sci-fi realm. So they have a big footprint in the Star Wars and the DC Comics and the Marvel world. And one of their their lines is called the Court of the Dead. And so when they launched a new collection from the Court of the Dead, they had their fans take a quiz to sort themselves into various factions. So there's 3 different factions you could bucket yourselves into, and based on how you responded to this 8-question quiz, it was going to tell you which one of those 3 factions you were. And here is one of the questions that came from that quiz. Of these color schemes and different hues, choose the one that speaks to you. Now, this is really valuable for them because they're in the market of selling products to people, and they want to know, hey, who are our fans that like red? Who are fans that like blue or green? And how can we use that to, once we know that, can we make this their on-site experience more valuable? And at the end of the quiz, they had a lead form at the end. So you finish the quiz and you find out which of the 3 factions you're into. As you can see here, the underworld is calling. Brave soul, enter your email address and redeem your free faction allegiance kit while supplies last. And so you can see they give a really good incentive for capturing that email address. And so that's just one little side note I'll add, is with these lead forms, one of the biggest mistakes I see is people just make it kind of boring. They say sign up for our newsletter, and they don't even really tell you why. So if you want to use anything on your site, whether it's a quiz or anything else to get leads, give them a reason for doing so. Maybe you don't have to go as far as giving away a free product like they're doing with the free faction allegiance kit, but certainly give them, they're bombarded with lead forms, and this can certainly go a long way to getting people to add that. So with this email form, people put their email addresses in, and it wasn't just the emails that they got. So it wasn't just, hey, so-and-so took the quiz and I got his email address, and now I can send him an email and put him in our newsletter and send him what we send everyone else. They also got to see all of the answers they selected on each of those questions. So think back to that last slide. You can see that Connor at Quizzer.com, he likes red, and there's other questions on there that that really speak to Connor's attitudes and interests and opinions. And so it was, in addition to all the engagement they got, and actually, Cameron, if you want to go to the next slide here, in addition to all the engagement they got, they were able to provide a much more personalized experience. So here's an instance of an offer they might want to show to someone who liked, one of the colors was fairly similar to this one that we're looking for. So this is one from one of their emails that was tailored to the people who specified an interest in one of those other colors. And in the process of generating that many engagements, go ahead and move on to the next one. They gained an invaluable bank of prospect data, including color preferences, personality traits, and ambitions. So here are the results, and this is actually just after the first month of the campaign. So this campaign was launched, gosh, it's been almost 3 years. It's been a while. But the results in that first month were 1,800 orders, 1,200 new customers, and $75,000 in revenue. The information was really powerful in helping people move through the funnel as they were able to give them more personalized emails. So that's and actually I have one other thought on one other thing to say about the power of quizzes and the emails that you can send based on the quiz. Go ahead and move on to the next one. This is a quiz from a really brilliant guy that I've gotten to become. I've become a big admirer of. His name is Mark Murphy, and he makes a lot of quizzes. He's a New York Times best-selling author. Really smart guy when it comes to just working in business and trying to make it in your career. So we had this quiz, and this is actually this is an outdated screenshot. It's what's your leadership style? As you can see, it says here it's been taken 206,000 times. I actually just checked right before this call to get an updated number on that. It's up to 223,000 times now. And this quiz, the real power of it is that, in addition to just a lot of people wanting to take it, when you finish the quiz to find out what your leadership style is, you see this lead form here. Enter your name and email for your personal leadership style. And so I actually have to fill this out in order to see my results. And then once I do, then I'll see my results, and then this is the email that I got. So this is actually a screenshot of the exact email I got within seconds after I finished the quiz. So I finished that quiz, and then this is the email that Mark Murphy sent to me. On behalf of everyone at Leadership IQ, thank you for taking the Leadership Styles quiz. We hope you enjoyed it. Your results are steward. Here's what that means. And so he was able to take that outcome that I got. So I was the steward, and there's other I was looking at the data for this. 10% of his audience was getting pragmatist, 12% was getting idealist, 23% were getting steward, so I fell in that category. 55% were getting diplomat. And so you can see how powerful this is for him to then bucket his new leads into those 4 different categories. So the stewards, they want to hear, they want to hear different messaging than the diplomat does, or the idealist, or the pragmatist. And so he can put them in his different segments, and then you can speak to them in language that's going to really connect with them. And what's really impressive about this is, if you want to go to the next one, this is another outdated screenshot. I actually just checked these numbers again. So as I said, it's actually been taken 223,000 times now, 145,000 offer conversions. So for this quiz, the definition of an offer conversion is someone filling out that lead form at the end. So you can see how impressive that is, that of the 206,000 people, well, in this case, the screenshot we're looking at, 206,000 people that took it, 135,000 people gave them their email address and wanted to, basically gave him permission. I want to continue conversing with you. And he knows how to provide a better better communication based on the way they interacted with the quiz. So that to me is my favorite way to communicate, to use the quiz to continue that conversation, is the email. Because quizzes are so good at just getting people to fill out that form. It's, you go to every different website and they just say, hey, sign up for our newsletter. And it's almost like, why? And a quiz is a chance for you to really connect with them over the course of 8 to 10 questions. It's really powerful what happens there is people feel like you're asking questions that get to them, and they feel like they get to talk about themselves. They get to say what their attitudes are and what their opinions are. And then when they finish the quiz and they say, oh, I am a steward, I do like this, you got me right. They'll want to give you their email to continue that conversation. Okay, so the next one, the next way you can use quizzes to provide a better continued conversation is the Facebook ad. And so if you look at the question over here on the right of the slide, which player does your game most resemble? Now this comes from a quiz from a soccer company. They sell a lot of soccer gear, cleats, goals, balls, that kind of stuff. They made a quiz just called "Which cleat will make you play like a pro?" So if I'm a soccer fan, that just sounds like a fun quiz to take anyway. Whether I care or not what kind of cleats even if I know up front, hey, they're going to try and sell me some cleats, it's still a fun interactive piece of content to take, especially if I like a lot of these professional players. You see this question here, which player does your game most resemble? This was actually a really powerful question for them, because if I select Neymar on this quiz, on this question, again, they had that lead form at the end. They can then they can export the data from the quiz to get a list of all of the email addresses that came through alongside each of their answers, and they can see, okay, 10,000 people selected Neymar on this. Why don't we upload them to Facebook and then do a creative custom audience around these email addresses, and we will personalize the ad experience. And that's actually on the next slide. You can see what the ad looked like for people that said they liked Neymar on this question. Here's the ad that they saw. Think you've got skills like Neymar? Now you can gear up like the soccer legend too. Shop today. And you can see how powerful this is if you like Neymar. If I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed and I see all of a sudden a picture of Neymar pops up, I like Neymar. I just told the company that he's the player that my game most resembles. I'm going to want to stop and I'm going to want to click through on that. And conversely, if I selected Leo Messi, then they would have an ad with Leo Messi on there. And so it's a good way to provide a more personalized ad experience for people that maybe didn't convert on that first session on your site. And so here on the next slide, you'll see the results that came from this campaign. I almost hesitate to say this because I won't, quizzes can definitely be powerful. These results are certainly on the high end of successful. They spent I guess I bring that up to say, if you run a quiz and you spend some money on it and you don't get these kind of results, I don't want you to get discouraged, but I think there's a lot to learn from that. So anyways, they spent $572 on this ad campaign. It generated just under $11,000 in return, just from this one simple ad campaign, just by showing them a picture of the player that their game most resembled. And so for a cost per acquisition of $9.54. And this was actually a marketing agency that ran this campaign. And down there you can see we've got a link through, and maybe that's something we can send out after, something where we can send out some of the corroborating materials that are out there that go through a lot of the nuts and bolts of how the campaigns were run. And so that's number two. So number one, if you remember, was email. Number two was the Facebook ad. And here's another way you can continue that conversation. You can use the insights from the quiz to inform your product strategy or inform your content strategy. And I'll tell you two examples of how you can do that. And I mean, you can just see on the left side of the screen here, we've just got, this is just an example of the dashboard data that you get for a quiz. You can see, what percentage of your audience, this is from a quiz about which celebrity you share sleeping habits with. And you can see, oh wow, 35% share sleeping habits with Leonardo da Vinci and that kind of stuff. But let me show you a couple examples of how, first let's start off with an example of someone that did it for their product. And so this is a screenshot of a question that came from a quiz from a company called Pura Vida Bracelets. So they're a really cool company based out of San Diego. They sell, they got the idea when they were surfing in Costa Rica, and they saw all these really cool bracelets that were being made on the beach, and they thought, well, why don't we, let's sell those exact, bracelets in the States. We'll use Costa Rican, real authentic Costa Rican vendors, and we'll sell those to people in the States. And the business just grew like wildfire. In fact, the CEO there was named one of the Forbes 30 under 30. And so he and I got to work on a few quizzes a while back. And one of the things that he ended up doing, which I thought was really powerful, is in addition to selling bracelets, he thought, what about some other products that we could sell? We've got a really good kind of surfer beach vibe. Like, what? Maybe we ought to think about, and most of our audience is women and their teens. We ought to think about selling swimwear. And so they made this quiz before they even launched the product. They made this quiz asking just to get insights, like, hey, what if we did build a bikini line? What would we build? What kind of styles would we want to produce? And so this is an example of one of the questions from that. And then on the next slide, you'll see, I actually blurred out. I didn't want to share his personal data here, just proprietary data, I guess. So I blurred it out. But you can see that he can see that X% selected this red color, and X% selected this green one, and X% selected this black color. And so this is from a sample size of 40,000 people that went through this quiz. As you can see up there at the top where it says, right in that row next to pick a style, it says 40,480. And so it's a really good sample size for him to make an informed decision about, hey, look, this is what our audience would really want. This is what we should build. And it's really cool because now if you go to their site, and on the next slide, I took a screenshot, that's clothing bikinis is one of the things they offer. And they've had a lot of success with that. And I know I talked to him a couple weeks back, and he gives a lot of credit to using the quiz to generate those insights to inform his product strategy. And so if you're selling e-commerce products or really anything, and you're looking to get product research, quizzes can be a great way to do that and keep that conversation going. The other thing you can do that's really powerful is just from a content side of things. In addition to the quiz being a content by itself, the data that comes from the quiz can be a whole bank of content after that. And so on the next slide, I've got an example. On the left, you can see this is a question from a quiz, just asking people about how much they love their pet. And this is one of the questions. You celebrate your pet's birthday. Sometimes we keep it low key, et cetera, et cetera. We've got these different questions here and answer options. And so the quiz by itself was a good piece of content that people were drawn to. They took it, they shared it, they had a good time with it, and I think they even had a lead form on the end to keep people in their funnels. But then outside of that, they looked at how people responded to the questions, and they created on the right, this is just a very, truncated version of an infographic they put together based on how people answered that. So, this is another, they create a whole different piece of content that got an additional, set of shares and, new audience and people that were drawn to their site. 55% of pet parents spend $75 on their pet each month. That actually really surprised me. That's more than I would have thought. Whopping 76% buy presents for their pet a few times a month. No excuse needed. So anyways, this is a lot of this is, they're a company that sells pet insurance, and so there's probably some selection bias of just the type of people that are on their website to begin with. But it's still pretty interesting how they were able to inform their content strategy. And so those are the really, and so I wanted to touch on these three instances, and let me just recap them again. So number one, use the quiz to inform the way you converse with people through your email. Again, you can add that email form and get all these different data points about them. If you have a 10-question quiz, that's 10 data points about your new lead that you can use to provide a more personalized experience. Number two was the Facebook ad. And so if you do much on, and it could be any other display advertising, whatever the case may be, if you do a lot of digital advertising, use the way they answered the questions on your quiz or what the outcome they got or whether they converted or not, to show them an ad that's going to connect with them and be more relevant to their personality. And number three was the insights. Use those insights to then create a new product line or create new content pieces that can drive an additional people to your site. And quizzes are really effective at getting those to take place. So those are that's what everything I wanted to go over. If you guys have questions, please post them, and then I'm hoping, as Cameron goes through, maybe we can connect some of what I've talked about to what he's talking about. But that's everything I had to say on the topic. Cameron, if you want to take it away.
Awesome. We do have a question. I think I'm just going to jump in. So we're posting a poll right now. Feel free to jump in and we'll kind of watch that poll go. But the question of the poll is, why do quizzes seem to be valuable to you? So go jump in and take some of that poll and we'll kind of talk it over as it comes through. But there was one question, Randy, and I'm just going to do this now rather than wait to the end because it related back to, diagnosing what are you steward or whatever. And Randy's question was this: for example, you have been told by the return email that you are a steward. Are the emails of the quiz takers segmented and linked to each category that they quizzed into? In a quiz I constructed, I had 4 output categories, and I'd like the category to respond to. I'd like to respond to each of the categories with a focused response. Do you want to take that one, Connor?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, so the guy that made that quiz with the steward, his name's, again, I know I already went over this. His name's Mark Murphy, and he's I actually learned a lot from how he set up the campaign because I always knew you could do it. I just didn't know exactly what went into that. And so it certainly does take a little bit more configuration after you get the quiz set up. It means you need to, you have to, we have a direct integration built out with MailChimp. And so if you're using MailChimp, you can set up the integration within the tool, and it will send the lead form data as well as their result to MailChimp. And then within MailChimp, it's just a matter of setting up the lists accordingly, or the autoresponders. There's other ways you can integrate with some of the softwares if using HubSpot or Marketo or Salesforce or Infusionsoft, or there's a number of other ones. You can integrate with those. It requires building out a webhook, which you can use a tool like Zapier to do fairly easily. So I guess the easiest way to answer that is it is possible. It does take a little bit more configuration within those other tools, whether it be MailChimp or Infusionsoft, just getting the different autoresponder workflows built out. So hopefully that answers your question.
It apparently did. It looks like Randy's using MailChimp, and he says, "Thank you. I'll look into this." So awesome, Randy. I'm glad we were able to help you. And look, if you have any questions, feel free to dive in and ask them, and we'll either handle them as we're going through, or we'll take time to handle some at the end if we have time. Just looking at this quiz, I am surprised, Connor. Can you see these results, or do I need to just share them with you?
Yeah, I can. So 80% are saying quizzes seem valuable because they're a fun, creative way to engage with the audience, and I'm not going to argue with that. That's why people love them. That's why it was 3 years ago, or actually it was 2013. The New York Times did a quiz about how you guys and y'all talk. I don't know. Several of you probably took it. It was a remarkable quiz where you just answered a few questions about your vernacular, and about whether you called it a water fountain or a drinking fountain, and whether you called them sneakers or tennis shoes. There's a couple of different questions in there, and it told you, okay, based on your responded, you live in Utah. It was really impressive. They said Salt Lake City. It was really impressive. But anyway, that quiz was launched in the last week of December of 2013, and within that week, it became the most shared quiz on the entire New York Times website. And so
Wow.
we really kind of built off of that, of the idea that, people really do like to answer questions about themselves. And they, even if it's a graded quiz where they're getting questions wrong and right, and they're finding out whether they're the ultimate car expert or whether they know more about Game of Thrones than their neighbor, those can be really valuable. So I'm not going to argue with that at all. There's certainly that was 4 years ago that New York Times thing happened, and we still get several hundred people a day that sign up to use our tool for that exact reason.
The interesting part for me is that's, prior to really getting to know who you guys are, that's exactly what I would have felt as well. That, number one, this is just a fun way to get engagement with potential customers and with current customers as well. In fact, we launched a quiz with you guys kind of prior to this webinar, and that's what we used it for. Great way to get kind of the community talking. We did kind of a fun little what kind of sales rep are you, and that was fun. After going through this, I'm amazed at how easily you can tie this back to revenue in some cases. So for example, the Steward one or the free give, but the one that really knocked it out of the park for me was the cleats one. That is just powerful results, and how you're able to target your market even more. You're able to segment your market, understand them better, and be able to then communicate to them. So I love that piece. Nice job, Connor. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay.
Yeah, glad it made sense.
Yeah, no, good. It was fun. So for me, now that we've generated leads, now that we're either engaging and getting people connected with us again, or we're generating, and segmenting our market, or we're even selling, the next piece becomes, how do we upsell? How do we harvest referrals? How do we understand more what our prospects and customers are looking for? And that's where some of our play sets on our Griffin Hill Integrity Sales side come into play. And so we kind of named this section the power of needs audit. Now you have to understand what needs audit really means, and we'll actually talk more in detail about that. But the idea of needs audit is, here's some of the purposes and principles of it. It's to get information needed to build a compelling proposal or case, or even strengthen that relationship, to build a relationship that reinforces your position, to help decision makers draw conclusions, to break down emotional barriers and defenses. And we're going to qualify for 4 things: need, want, ability to pay, and decision-making process. The principles here are we have to listen. We have to hear what people are saying to us. So therefore, we need to ask open-ended questions, and sharing builds trust, and it gives us purposeful face time. But we've got a position, don't sell. So now that we've done a good job generating these leads, what do we do with them? That becomes the question. And sometimes we get so nervous about that we actually just let those referrals sit, or those leads sit, and we don't do anything with them. Needs audit is what gives us purposeful face time with these people, or phone time, depending on your industry, so that we know what to do and what kind of questions to ask. So here's our needs audit play set. Griffin Hill, we work in process and plays, and needs audit is our process step, and our plays to mobilize our needs audit are these reframe, opportunity queries, problem queries, effects, consequences, and scheduling the next event. So that's kind of our needs audit play set. But you got to understand what each one of those pieces mean. A reframe means, just like that email, hey, you took the quiz, here's your results. So what's the history essentially? Who am I? Why do I have a connection with you? And this helps us to remember that our redundancy as we connect with people, that it enforces our position. And time changes the frame of mind. It's probably a longer discussion to go into than we have time for. But the idea here is this helps to position yourself again. So the reframe is repositioning yourself with your prospects and suspects. The query plays with drill down. We've got opportunity queries, problem queries, effects and consequences, and then we'll schedule our next event. If we dive further into our query plays, our opportunity query plays, we get our status quo and vision. And status quo is the who, what, when, where, why. It's the lay of the land currently. And then vision is, in the best of all worlds, what is it you're hoping to accomplish here? So we need to understand with our prospects and our suspects, hey, who are you? What's the current lay of the land? What is it and then what is it you're trying to accomplish? What's that vision? So that we can help to understand that gap, they can understand the gap, and we can provide some good solutions for that. Okay, sorry. Next is our problem queries. Problem queries are as it relates to your company and the product we're selling you, what are the 5 biggest challenges facing your industry? What are the 3 major barriers to achieving your stated vision? And if you could have a single breakthrough, what would it be? Again, as it relates to the product that we're selling. And then effects and consequence questions. Here's some horrible examples of effects and consequence questions, but they're made to help us to think and draw conclusions, not as a salesperson, but as a buyer. If we don't change, if we stay the same, what happens? What happens to our company? What happens to our family? What happens to our financial situation? Whatever it might be, what are the consequences if we stay in our current situation? So that's high level. Look, that's high level. It's a quick overview of what needs audit is. I did get a question from one of our customers, just our question thing here from Benjamin. Benjamin asked this. He said, look, I've been trained by Darren Baird. I love the process. It gives, I love the program and the security it gives to salespeople. I'm pretty schooled with case open, but needs audit is always challenging, and I'd love some input from the master regarding excelling in this area. Here it is, right here, effects and consequences. These effects and consequences, that's the money right there. If we can help people think. The problem is when we usually run needs audit as a salesperson or a customer service rep, what we're trying to find out is just kind of the current lay of the land. And we don't help people to make discoveries. But the effects and consequence questions are the pieces that drill it down further. And what I like to do is once I've drilled it down and help them understand the dichotomy that if we don't change today, we may be out of business tomorrow. If we don't change today, you know, my family won't grow to the family I want it to be. If we don't invest in quizzes, we're not going to get the leads we need to hit the revenue we need, or we're not going to get the engagement from our customers that we need. So those effects and consequence questions, if we can drill down on those and then follow it up with, here's the feature around that. Here's the advantage that you're going to get. And most importantly, here's the benefit you're going to see. And if we drill it into the benefit from that effects and consequence, Benjamin, that's what I've loved and where I've seen great success. Look, lots of information we've covered so far today. And we do have a little bit of time left over here. So we've got a couple of quiz or a couple little polls we want to do. So let's throw up one of these other ones around sales. Maybe I think we could improve most on poll. That would be a good one, especially with Benjamin's questions. We did get another quiz question, I believe, from Randy. Oh, just kind of a statement here of kind of Randy, good thought here. I think if the quiz questions are fresh and bright, the people will become more curious and will engage. Nothing like a curious potential customer or to retain a customer. Yep, I love that. Awesome. Connor, any response to that you want to add?
Yeah, I think, and I like the way you're thinking about this because I often see from people that are making quizzes, and it's through no fault of their own. It's kind of a newer way of writing. You know, people are used to writing blog posts or white papers or ebooks and that kind of stuff. Quizzes are a little bit different. It's kind of weird to think about questions that you want to ask and the answer responses that would lead to potential outcomes. So it certainly is a kind of, it's something that it takes there's a little bit of a learning curve to figure out. And so typically with people with their first times doing it, I often see the same questions get asked, which is fine. You know, they're the questions that you would think of for a reason. They're questions that a lot of people would probably want answered. But I think I like the way that you're thinking about maybe coming up with fresher versions and really coming off as curious about your site visitors. And one thing, a word of advice I'd give is you can take some of those questions like, you know, where do you want to go on vacation most? Which is one I see almost all the time, which is a good question. You know, it says a lot about you if you say you'd rather go to France versus, I don't know, Park City, right? That says that you're a pretty different person. And so I can see the value in that. But if I would add just to try and think of ways to keep it fresh. There's ways you can rephrase that question. That's not just that very same, where do you want to go on vacation? If you're a wedding site, you know, if you do something in the wedding industry, do something like, where do you want to go on your honeymoon? You know, just make it more relevant to you. Or, you know, you get to do a business trip and you have to spend 2 weeks in one of these areas. Which one are you choosing? You know, there's different ways you can word that I think will connect more with your site visitors, so they feel like, oh, I've been asked this question 300 times now.
You know, I actually love that, and as it relates to the things that we just went through on the needs audit side, needs audit is about asking good questions, and I love the poll 100% is, hey, I think I could improve on asking good questions. And I think that directly relates to quizzes too. If we can be asking good questions that help to make people think. And even in the quiz, you know, a quiz can be a great place to do a lot of good needs audit work, just like you shared with us, Connor, that we can understand and segment our prospects way better by asking good questions in our quizzes in a fun, engaging way that generates new leads, that helps us segment the current leads that we already have. So I love what you're saying there, Connor. Super powerful. Let's see. I think, Connor, you've got some things that you want to do to some gives. Tell us about the unlimited engagements with Quizzer Pro.
Yeah. So Cameron, are you able to just go to like a browser and just go to Quizzer.com? I think it might help if I walk people through how they could get this set up. Is that something you can do on your end?
Yes, I can definitely do that.
So if you want to pull up just Quizzer.com, what you'll see if you've never been to the site, QZZR.com. QZZR.com. No E, just yeah, sorry, just QZZR. We're a tech company, so we have to get rid of the vowels. It's actually a law, I think, that if you're in the tech company, you can't use vowels in your name. No, I'm just playing. But you can see up,
embarrassing for me. I knew how to spell it. I just
up there on the pricing. So if here's our website, by the way. So again, QZZR.com, and then up on the pricing page, you can see there's 3 different plans you can sign up for. The basic one is a good starter package. You won't have the ability to get leads on that, but you can start to create and get a feel for how it works. Our enterprise plans are for if you're looking to do things like white labeling, or if you're looking for additional content types like polls and lists and some more kind of advanced data integrations, that kind of stuff. And so the offer that I'm extending to anyone that's on this webinar is that pro plan. You can see it's $299 a year, something you can purchase right there on the site. As you can see, that last line item, it says up to 10,000 engagements per year. So what I'm saying is sign up for that plan and then let me know that you were at this webinar, and I will remove that 10,000 cap. And so you'll basically get the unlimited engagement plan for $299 a year. And so an engagement is any time a quiz is taken. And so it's something that even with that current plan, it's a soft cap. So it's not something that we would, if you go blow past, it's not like we start dinging your credit card every time it gets taken. It's more of, okay, we need to talk about moving you on to an additional plan. But like I said, for you folks that are on this webinar, we're willing to waive that engagement cap and give you those unlimited engagements for that $299 a year.
That's awesome. Wow, that's huge. Especially with some of the quizzes you guys are creating that just go absolutely viral. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully, good luck with that. And I do apologize. I wanted to get our engineers to create a specific link that I could send that would be unique to you guys. Unfortunately, that wasn't in the card. So I know it's a little, it's a little clunky to have to sign up and then email me or our support team and let them know. But if you guys all bear with me, that's how we'll have to do it for the time being.
No, no worries. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being willing to do that. On our end, what we're willing to do, look, needs audit. To do that in 10 to 20 minutes, it's super hard. There's so much deep, rich stuff. But if you're really looking at, like 100% of you guys said, if you're really looking for how do I ask good questions, you're going to want to come to our base camp. It is an all-day activity. This is not a marketing gimmick. This is our system. This is our sales system. It's on Friday, August 18th. It goes from 8:30 to about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And it is our full system. It is will allow up to 2 people from your organization to come. That's a give of about $3,000 as well. So we really want you to be there. It's going to be a fun event. You'll learn amazing things that will help you to ask good questions in your quiz creation, ask good questions in your sales and prospecting that will help people to be entrenched and closer to you. Look, I don't see any other questions coming through. If you have some, feel free to ask. Connor, it was a pleasure having you here with us today. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I had a blast. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys learned something, and happy to answer any other questions as they come up as you guys get started.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And of course, don't forget to go get your SmartCon tickets. Right now is one of the best pricings you're going to get. They're going to go up pretty soon here. So you're going to want to go get your SmartCon ticket and reserve that spot today. You can do that at smartcon.griffinhill.com. And if you want to sponsor, we've still got some sponsorship options left. So you can go check out that same website, just /event, and that will help you to see it. Let's see. It does say, I get from Randy one more question. I'm in the basic plan, and it was really easy to create the quiz when I put it together. I'm a beginner in this. Thank you. So looks like also, Connor, you've got a great, useful, easy to use tool as well.
Yeah, that was the whole idea of building it out. Like I mentioned that about the New York Times earlier. That was probably built with a team of engineers, and same with a lot of the BuzzFeed quizzes that we're kind of hitting on early on, like the which Disney princess are you? And so we thought, well, what about the rest of us that maybe don't want to hire a team of engineers to build out a good-looking quiz tool? And so that's what we optimized for in our early days. Was let's build out a quiz editor that is intuitive and makes sense to people and functions properly. So glad to hear that it seems to be working.
Okay, awesome. Hey, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. We will get this posted. We just got another question. When will this replay? Will there be a replay link? Yes, we will get this posted online. We'll get this sent out to you so you can share it with other people, so you can check it out again and go through any content that you felt was important. Good to be with you all. We'll see you next time. Take care.